So today we will discuss a new topic, that is population composition, chapter 3 of fundamentals of human geography. So population composition, this is a very important topic, and about the meaning of population composition we have learned earlier. Okay, so it is the study of these different characteristics of population, like age structure, sex structure, then literacy, education, occupation. So many other aspects of population are discussed in population composition. So the first important aspect of sex ratio or population composition is sex composition, also known as sex ratio. Actually, study of sex composition is very important because it tells the socio-economic status of women in a country. Okay. So then what do you mean by this sex ratio or sex composition is given here. See, the ratio between the number of women and men in the population is called sex ratio. The relation, the mathematical relation between women and men in the population is called sex ratio. In other words, it tells that how many males are there per a number of females, or how many females are there per number of males, like that. Generally, we have two types of sex ratio. Okay. Two types. So here we have this favorable sex ratio. So in case of favorable sex ratio, this number of females, okay, number of females is more than males. It is also known as positive sex ratio. In case of favorable sex ratio, the number of females is more than the number of males. So other one is the unfavorable one. Unfavorable. It is also known as negative sex ratio. So here in this case, the number of males is more than the number of females. Okay, so in case of unfavorable or negative sex ratio, the number of males is greater than the number of females. So these are the two types of sex ratio generally we find in population geography. And for the calculation of sex ratio, okay, two formulas are given here. So this one, the first one, so the first one is generally used in the Western countries. Okay, see here, or for the whole world. Here the formula is male population divided by female population multiplied by 1000. we are multiplying it by 1000 because it is expressed in terms of thousand. However, in case of India, sex ratio is worked out using the following formula here. Number of females to be divided by number of male multiplying by 1000. Now let us see one example. See, let us suppose the number of males, okay, in India is 56,908, and number of females 53,890. So applying the formula which is generally used in India, sex ratio is equal to female population divided by male population multiplying by 1000. So just applying the formula, we have this number of females here, 53,890, and here we have male population 56,908 multiplying by 1000. So after this we get it 947 females per 1000 males. Okay, so this is an example. It is very easy to calculate also. Any question? Any question? Okay, so let us proceed. So here, as I told you, the sex ratio is an important information about the status of women in a country. That is why study of sex ratio is very important. And so next we have this big paragraph. So this big paragraph is very important because a question also can be asked from here. See, in some countries, okay, the sex ratio is unfavorable. There is a negative sex ratio in some countries, in some Asian countries, in some Islamic countries. So what are the main reasons for that? Whereas in the other Western countries, the sex ratio is favorable. The number of female is greater than the number of males, favorable. So what are the reasons for this? Are given here. See, let us read. In regions where gender discrimination is rampant, sex ratio is bound to be unfavorable to women. In the countries where there is gender discrimination, okay, where there is difference between the male and the females, we have this generally unfavorable sex ratio. So in these countries, in the countries where there is discrimination against the females, we have practice of female feticide, okay, that is killing of the child, fetus, inside the mother's womb. Then female infanticide, killing of this female infant after the birth, okay. Then domestic violence against the women. So in these countries, such practices are there, and that is why the sex ratio is negative, unfavorable. And another reason for having this unfavorable sex ratio in these countries is that socio-economic status of women in these countries, okay, is lower than other countries. So here in these countries, women are less educated, okay, they are illiterate, and that is why in these countries we have this negative sex ratio. Okay, then so next here we have in the box one very important information. natural advantage versus social disadvantage. So let us read. Females have a biological advantage over the males as they tend to be more resilient than the male, yet this disadvantage is cancelled out by the social disadvantages and discriminations they face. So it means that this IQ level of females, okay, is higher than the males. But see, as you know, females are physically weak. That is the point mentioned here. That is, we have biological advantage. Females have biological advantage, means IQ level is higher. They can do more work. Okay, I mean these. They can do 2 works at a time also sometimes. Then IQ level is so higher. But one thing is that they are physically weak. Okay. The biological advantage is cancelled by the social disadvantages, that is discrimination against them, since they are physically weak. That is the point mentioned here. So next we have the spatial distribution of sex ratio in the world. See here, it tells these paragraphs tell the distribution of sex ratio across the world. Okay. Let us read. On an average, the world population reflects a sex ratio of 102 males per 100 females. So here they are applying this formula. See, they are applying this formula. This is just an example. Okay, so they are applying this formula. Sex ratio is equal to male population divided by female population multiplying by 100. So here we are multiplying by 100 because we are expressing in hundreds. And let us suppose the population of the world is this. Okay, 250,000. Population of female is 248,000. So applying the formula here, we have male population here, female population here, multiplying by 100. So we have got 101 males per 100 females. Okay, so in this paragraph they are using this formula. Now let us find out the country with the highest sex ratio and a country with the lowest sex ratio. Here, highest sex ratio means country having the highest favorable. Okay, positive sex ratio. Highest sex ratio means it means positive. So here, the highest sex ratio in the world has been recorded in Latvia, where there are 85 males per 100 females. Okay. Here this is for Latvia, 85 males per 100 females. That means the number of males is less as compared to females. So favorable. In contrast, we have Qatar. Okay, this Qatar is having the negative sex ratio, the lowest sex ratio in the world. So there are 311 males per 100 females in Qatar. Negative sex ratio. Okay, so the number of males is greater than the number of females. And for other part of the world, let us see. The world pattern of sex ratio does not exhibit variations in the developed regions of the world. The sex ratio is favorable for females in 139 countries of the world and unfavorable for for them in remaining 72 countries listed by the United Nations. See, favorable for females in 139 countries. Remaining 72 countries unfavorable. What about Asia? In general, see, Asia has a low sex ratio means unfavorable. Countries like China, India, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Afghanistan have a lower sex ratio, unfavorable sex ratio. So on the other hand, on the other extreme is the greater part of Europe, including Russia, where males are in minority. That means the number of males lesser than the females. Okay, females outnumber the males. A deficit of males in the population of many European countries is attributed to the better status of women and excessive male-dominated out-migration to different parts of the world in the past. So why there is less number of males in the European countries? Reasons are given here. So we have deficit, we have less number of males in the European countries because women have better status. Another one is that there is male-dominated out-migration, okay, to different parts of the world, leaving females in the country. So these are the main reasons for the these males are in minority in these European countries. So any question here? Any question? Okay, let us proceed. So next important aspect of population composition is the age structure. Okay, I think internet speed is low, and that is why my voice may not be clear. Anyway, let me try to speak slower than before. So here, what do you mean by age structure? Age structure represents the number of people of different age groups. So for example, how many people are there in the age group 0 to 14, for example? How many people are there in the age group 15 to 59, like that? Okay, that is called age structure. So age structure represents the number of people of different age group. So this is also an important indicator of population composition, because a large size of population in the age group indicates, in the age group of 15 to 59 indicates a large working population. I think you might have learned earlier that we have three types of age groups. Okay, so the first one is 0 to 14. Okay, and second one is 15 to 59. Third one is 60 and above. And so this one, the first one, is known as young. This age group is known as young or children. Then the second one is known as adult, and the third one is known as old people. So this age group 50 to 59 years, also known as adult, these are the working age group. So in a country where there is a large number of working population, okay, will be developed. That is the point mentioned here. A large size of population in the working age group of 15 to 59 indicates a large working population. A greater proportion of population above 60 years represent an aging population which require more expenditure on health care facilities. So when people are old, they cannot work and they have to depend on the adult for their food, for their medical treatment and other things. Okay, so they are dependents. So if the number of old people is increasing in a country, that is called aging population. Okay, for example, Japan. Actually, in Japan, the proportion of old people is very much higher than other countries. That is called aging population. Similarly, high proportion of young population would mean that the region has a high birth rate and population is youthful. This you will find in India and other African countries where there is large number of young population, that is between 0 to 14 years. So it means that it implies that there is a high birth rate in those countries and the population is very much youthful. And this is also, children, they are dependents. Again, we have to invest more money for food, education and other medical facilities. So to study the age structure, okay, so we have to analyze the age pyramid or pyramid of any country. Okay, now let us analyze this age pyramid. And age-sex structure of population refers to the number of females and males in different age group. See, in a particular age group, how many females are there, how many males are there. That is called age-sex structure. Okay, in a particular age group, say for example between 10 to 14 years age group, how many females are there, how many males are there. That is called what we call age-sex structure. A population pyramid is used to show the age-sex structure of population. Just here, for example, here. Okay, here. And the shape of population pyramid reflects the characteristics of population. See, the shape of the pyramid tells what kind of population, whether it is a youthful population, whether it is an aging population. Okay, the shape of pyramid tells. So here in a population pyramid, left side, okay, left side here, left side represents males, then right side represents females. Okay, so let us see. Now let us analyze the pyramid of an expanding population. Pyramid of an expanding population. See, the age-sex pyramid of Nigeria, as we see in the following diagram, okay, is a triangular shaped pyramid with a wide base and is typical of less developed countries. See, in this age-sex pyramid, here the base is very wide. Okay, the base is very wide, and the top here is very narrow. Here, see here. So it means that there is more number of these children here. Between 0 to 4 years, so many children are there. The proportion of children is very much high, whereas see, people in the age group IT to IT4 and beyond IT5 very less. Okay, see, as also mentioned here, such type of pyramid indicates, Okay, high birth rate. A large population in the lower age group indicates a high birth rate, and such type of pyramid is generally found in less developed countries, in some Asian countries like Bangladesh, then in the African countries like Nigeria, then in Mexico also such type of pyramid is found. Okay, so this is known as expanding population. This is known as expanding population. Any question? Nobody is responding. Okay, which one I have to repeat, Basti? Which one I have to, about the population pyramid? Okay, I will repeat about population pyramid. Okay, about yes, expanding population. See here, expanding population means the growth of population is becoming higher and higher day by day. Okay, then population is expanding, population is growing rapidly. And when we prepare a sex pyramid, then you will find a very wide base here. A wide base indicates that the proportion of children, the proportion of people in the lower age group is very, very high. And the proportion of the old people is very, very low. Okay, very less. Such type of this sex pyramid is mainly found in the less developed countries of Africa and Asia. Okay, so in these countries, the number of children, the proportion of children is very much high, and it implies that the birth rate is very high. Okay, see, if a country, if the number of children is very high, is very big, it means that the birth rate is very high. Okay, and such type of pyramid where the base is very wide and it takes the shape of a triangle, okay, is called expanding population. And such type of pyramid you will find in Bangladesh, Mexico, Nigeria, etc., etc. Is it clear? Okay, so let us proceed. Next, we have another type of population pyramid known as constant population. Okay, the growth rate is very, very slow or steady, okay, or stable. See here, let us analyze the age pyramid of Australia. So in Australia, see, the Australia's age pyramid is bell-shaped and tapered towards the top. This shows birth and death rate are almost equal, leading to a near constant population. See, in case of Nigeria, actually pyramid, SX pyramid that takes the shape of a triangle like this. So this is for Nigeria, and for Australia, it takes the shape of this bell like this. Okay, it's like this. This is for this Australia, and so it means that birth rate and death rate almost equal. For example, birth rate, say let us say 100 per 1000, death rate also almost 100 per 1000, like that. Okay, that means birth and death rate equal. That means population growth is very slow, and there will be say constant population. The population is not growing. Okay, and see, Australia is an example. Here you will find that the base is small. Okay, see here, the base of the population pyramid is small. It indicates that we have less number of children. And here the middle portion is big. That means the number of workers are very high, very big. There are lots of workers. And so population in the age group 100 plus. Okay, more than 100, very less. And that is why it takes the shape of a bell. And such type of population pyramid we find in Australia. Okay, so any question about this constant population? Constant population means population is not increasing, or maybe increasing very slowly. That is called constant population. Since no question is coming, so let me proceed. So the third type of population pyramid is known as the declining population. And see, such type of population pyramid you will find in case of Japan. Okay, see here, declining population means population is decreasing. The Japan pyramid has a narrow base and a tapered top, showing a low birth and low deaths. The population growth in developed countries is usually zero or negative. So this type of pyramid you will find in the European countries also, in most of the European countries. Okay, see here in this case, see here, population in the age group 0 to 4, very small. Okay, the base is very small. And here we find a big number of these working age. And see, in these countries there is very low birth rate and very low death rate. So birth rate, for example, maybe 10 per 1000, death rate also only say 10 per 1000, like that. So birth rate and death rate very low, and hence sometimes the death rate is much lower. Okay, in some countries. And because of this very low birth rate and low death rate, the population growth is usually zero or sometimes negative. Means the birth rate is very low. Okay, see, if the death rate is little higher than the birth rate, there will be negative. Say, for example, birth rate is only say 1 or 2 children per 1000, and death rate is around 5-6 per 1000. So in this case, the death rate is higher than the birth rate, and that is why population growth will be negative. Okay, so this is called a declining population. Population is decreasing, and we find generally in Japan. Okay, so here we have one important term, that is aging population. See, what do you mean by aging population? I have also mentioned earlier. Okay, so aging population means the proportion of the old people is much higher. That is called aging population, and you will find in Japan also. And see, let us read this area. Population aging is the process by which the share of older population becomes proportionally larger. Okay, the proportion of the older population is very big. So there is a new phenomenon. This is a new phenomenon of the 20th century. In most of the developed countries of the world, population is in higher age group has increased due to increased life expectancy. Okay, so the population in this old age group is higher because of the higher life expectancy, higher lifespan, longevity, very much higher longevity, and that is why. And at the same time, we have reduction in the birth rate. Okay, there is decrease in the birth rate, and proportion of the children in the population is declined, and proportion of the old people higher. That is called aging population. Okay, so any question up to here? Okay, so let us proceed. So next we have this rural urban composition of population. So here mainly we will discuss about the distribution of males and females in the villages, in the rural areas, and in the urban areas. Okay, so what is the sex ratio in the urban areas? What is the sex ratio in the rural areas? That will be mainly discussed here. Okay, see here the age-sex population, age-sex occupational structure, density of population, and level of development vary between rural and urban areas. You will find a difference between the age-sex composition between rural areas, urban areas. Okay, and you'll find difference in the occupational structure between the females and the males in the villages and the urban areas, like that. You'll find a lot of difference. So so let us read this area. The criteria for differentiating rural and urban population varies from country to country. So how to differentiate a rural area from the urban area varies from one country to another country. In general terms, rural areas are those where people are engaged in primary activities, and urban areas are those when majority of working population is engaged in non-primary activities. So this difference is mainly based on occupational structure. Okay, so other criteria are also there for differentiating the rural areas and the urban areas, but here the main criterion is the occupational structure. As you know, in the rural areas we find mainly primary activities like hunting, fishing, agriculture, like that, and whereas in the urban areas we have mainly service sectors and these manufacturing, non-primary activities in the urban areas. And next we have this about the composition. Okay, about the age-sex composition in different parts of the world. See here, let us read this area. Okay, the rural and the urban differences in sex ratio in Canada and West European countries like Finland are just the opposite of those in African and Asian countries like Zimbabwe and Nepal respectively. See, the differences in the sex ratio between rural areas and urban areas, okay, in Canada and West European countries is just opposite to those in Africa and Asian countries. Okay, so for example, so what is going on, what is the sex ratio in Finland is quite different from the sex ratio in this Zimbabwe and Nepal, opposite. Now let us see. Okay, so what is going on in Western countries? See here, in Western countries, in the European countries, males outnumber females in rural areas and females outnumber the males in urban areas. In European countries, including USA, okay, the number of females in the rural areas is lower as compared to these Asian countries. So in the Western European countries, number of males is greater in the villages. Okay, the number of females is lower than the males in the villages, whereas the number of females outnumber the number of males in the urban area. That means there is higher number of females in the big cities. In the European countries, there is more number of females in the big cities. Contrary to this, see, in countries like Nepal, Pakistan and India, the case is the reverse. That means in case of country like India, there is less number of females in the big cities and there will be more number of these females in the villages. Because in case of India, Nepal, Pakistan, here migration is mainly done by the males. As we learned earlier in India People Economy, in the chapter Migration, we learned that in case of India, males are generally migrated to the big cities for employment, for work and employment. And that is why more and more males are pouring in the big cities of India, and that is why we have negative sex ratio. Whereas in the European countries, there is more number of females in the big cities because the status of females is much higher there. They are more educated and the females are mainly migrating to the big cities for work and employment. Whereas males remain in the rural areas for agriculture. In case of European countries, lots of machinery. Machines are used for cultivation and these machines are mainly run by these males, and that is why. And see, let us read this area. The excess of the reason. The excess of males in urban areas of USA, Canada and Europe is the result of influx of females from rural areas to avail of the vast job opportunities. That means in USA, Canada and Europe, females are migrating to the urban areas for work and employment, contrary to India. By contrast, the sex ratio in Asian urban areas remain male-dominated due to predominance of male migration. That is what I explained you earlier. Okay. So any question about rural-urban composition? Okay. Let us proceed. Okay, good. So next we have another aspect of population composition, that is literacy. In class 9 you have learned who is a literate in case of India. According to census of India, it is given here. See, in India, literacy rate denotes the percentage of population above 7 years of age who is able to read, write and have the ability to do arithmetic calculation with understanding. Okay, any child attaining the age of 7 and who can read and write and do arithmetic calculation with understanding is called a literate person. Okay, Say here in Manipur and different parts of India, so many children are there who are going to school at the age of 3.5 years or 4. They can read, write, and do arithmetic calculation. But as per the census of India, he or she must attain the age of 7. That means they are illiterate. We have to treat them as illiterate. And literacy rate is also a very important determinant of economic development of a country. Okay, see here. See, proportion of literate population of a country is an indicator of its socio-economic development as it reveals the standard of living. Literacy rate reveals standard of living. Higher rate of literacy means higher standard of living, because that implies that parents can afford children for education. That means the status of this living condition is higher, and higher literacy rate among the females also indicate higher status of social status of females. At the same time, higher literacy rate also indicates the availability of educational facilities. That is the number of schools. Higher the literacy rate, we can assume that higher the number of educational institutions and the policies of government. So literacy rate is an important indicator of the socio-economic development of a country. You may say that there is direct relationship between the literacy rate and the socio-economic development. Higher the literacy rate, higher the economic development, like that. And next we have this occupational structure. Can you tell me what do you mean by occupation? What do you mean by occupation? Nobody is responding. See, actually occupation is an activity, which is economically gainful. Any activity which is economically gainful is known as occupation. And occupational structure means distribution of population in different types of occupation. For example, how many people are there in the primary sector, how many people are there in the secondary sector, that is called occupational structure. And generally we have these 3 main types of occupational structure types: primary, secondary, tertiary. Of course we have quaternary and quinary also, but see, here we are mainly discussing about these 3 types. Agriculture, forestry, fishing, mining, these are coming under primary activities. Then we have manufacturing as a secondary, trade, transport, communication and services under tertiary sector. And here also occupational structure is an important indicator of levels of economic development of a nation. See, if there are higher number of people in the primary sector, the country is less developed. If there is a large proportion of people in the secondary and the tertiary sector, in the manufacturing and the service sector, there is more development, there is more economic development in that particular country. So in this way, there is a very close relationship between the occupational structure and this economic development of a country. So here is the end of today's lesson. So any question? Nobody is responding. Then as usual, please leave your name in the WhatsApp group so that I can take attendance. Thank you very much for joining my class.